Are you going to lose your employees if you don't allow for remote work? Data from Microsoft suggests so. But what do they know? Let's find out. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Virtual Coffee Chat with Lewis. I am Lewis, and this is Virtual Coffee Chat for thinkremote.com. Happy Hump Day. Let's start our Hump Day with our first sip of coffee. It's hot. All right. So, Microsoft released last week their 2021 Work Trend Index annual report. And obviously, the media picked up on a lot of things regarding to that, right? I'm still halfway through the report, so I'll have some more to share about that once I finish. But the big thing is that apparently 41% of employees are considering leaving their current employee this year. 46% say it's like they're likely to move because they can now work remotely. And the study suggests that your approach to hybrid will impact who stays and who goes. All right, so first of all, and remember, I'm Mr. Remote here. I love remote work. I want anyone who wants to work remotely to have that opportunity. But that said, what I'm against is using statistics as a cudgel, right? First off, let's look at 41% of people are considering leaving their current employer, and 46% say they're likely to do so because they can now work remotely. That really means that of the people that are trying to leave their current employee, about a half of them are doing it for remote work. So suddenly the impact of remote is only really half. It's only really 20% of people that are considering leaving. Now, that's still something that existed in years past. The great thing about an annual report like this is that you can compare the percentages with the one from past years, and that's like a 10% increase. That's a pretty reasonable outcome from a year where it was obvious that most works can be done remotely, right? Just information alone accounts for this 10% increase. Now, is your company willing to lose those extra 10%, right? Or is it willing to change in order to retain those 10%? That's the decision, right? That's the question that you should be having. Not, oh no, I'm going to lose 40% of my employees if I don't do anything. No, 10%. That's the number that you need to have in your mind, right? Let's talk a bit about why this number is like this. I mean, let's consider people's working preferences in a spectrum, right? There's the, I love being gregarious in an office and being surrounded by a lot of people and sharing every day and et cetera, right? Always work in an office forever, hooray. And then there's, I'm a shut-in with that doesn't enjoy people and stay the hell away from me. Okay, so that's, anyway, in any case, so there's these two poles, but the distribution was slanted way to one side because most people, even though they might felt like this, they didn't have an alternative unless doing it like this. In fact, they didn't even know how to they didn't even know that it was possible to get away from one end of the spectrum, right? Now people know because in many cases they were told they had no choice. So now what we have is actually the opposite situation. We have, let's say, a big chunk of people working remotely, whether they like it or not. And some of those, 10%, pretty reasonable number, are figuring out that, oh, I didn't know that was possible, but clearly it is, right? So why don't I always have that? And then some amount of people will be desperately wanting to go back to the office because that's what works for them, right? I mean, how likely is it that 90% of all workers in the world were perfectly fine at one end of the spectrum because it matched their preferences? I mean, very unlikely. We keep on harping about how everyone is unique and how everyone is different, and people fall in different sides of the spectrum. I mean, the report talks about hybrid. I don't think that hybrid could be, is the perfect solution for everyone, but it certainly is the perfect solution for some amount of people, right? The people that want to spend some time working at home, focusing, and then I want to spend some time at the office, talking, interacting with other people, etc. Right? I think that what we're more likely to see happen over the next few years is a 33% distribution across the main polls. Like, some people want to be in the office all the time. That's the environment where they thrive. And then a third of the people don't want to be in an office, right? The office is terrible for their productivity, doesn't make them feel good. They get their social needs met, from interacting with people that aren't necessarily derived from, in the work. That's me. I feel like that. So, and then, right, roughly a third of people will be very content with having some days out of the office to manage their work life in a way that they can't in the office, and then be some days in the office, right? And some people will fall between these three poles. So obviously, that if you want to attract all kind of people, and if you don't want to lose anything, you need to be flexible. You need to offer the three solutions, right? If you want to spend all the time in the office, go ahead. If you want to spend some time in the office, our systems are made for that. And if you want to spend all the time out of the office, we allow that from them too. This will give you maximum ability to retain people. Now, will it work for your business? That's something that you need to figure out, hopefully with help from experts and from education and from educating yourselves, right? That's the deal. But by all means, don't let the headline scare you. You're not on the brink of losing 40% of your workforce if you don't adopt, a remote friendly policy immediately. You will lose some people if you don't. It's up to you to understand if the trade-off is worth it or not, right? Obviously, if you create a remote first culture, then, because people can work at the office still having a remote first culture, right? Things like, even though you're all at the office, you all connect individually on your laptops to a meeting, and you all have the meeting over Zoom, right? Those kinds of things, that's absolutely possible. So if you want to maximize your capacity to get and retain talent, sure, have full remote, and then, have the office and the processes in place for the people that thrive in those environments to do it, right? If you want to be on only a company that only exists on the other end of the spectrum, it's either office or not, then yes, you're probably going to lose people. That might make sense for you. You tell me in the comments. This was the virtual coffee with Lewis for Think Remote. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.